Namaste, Sat Shri Akal, and welcome to Dharma Explorers. Dharma Explorers is a series of conversations with prominent personalities who are strong supporters of Sanatana Dharma but were not born in a Hindu household. I'm your host, Jay Bansal, along with my co-host, Vallabha Tantriji. We are both affiliated with the Vishwa Hindu Parishad of America, where I serve as the Vice President of Education and Vallabhaji as member of the Governing Council. Now, it is my distinct honor to welcome today's guest panelist, Maria Wirth ji, joining us from Dehradun, Bharat. Maria ji, a hearty welcome to you to Dharma Explorers. Now, before we begin our conversation, allow me to share a bit of Maria ji's background with our audience. So, Maria ji was born in Germany in a traditional Christian family. After high school, she traveled widely in her early 20s, facilitated by a 3-year internship with Lufthansa Airlines, and then studied psychology at Hamburg University and once again resumed her world travels. On one of her trips in 1980, she had a brief stopover in Bharat while going to Australia. However, that turned out to be a life-changing event for her. She found Bharat fascinating, a source of profound wisdom, thanks to her interactions with spiritual gurus like Anandamayi Ma and Devraha Babaji. For 20 years, she lived in a very simple life in spiritual Bharat, often staying in ashrams. And she has been sharing her insights about Indian wisdom and traditions in numerous articles in German and English magazines, 2 books in German language, and 1 in English titled Thank You India, a German woman's journey to the wisdom of yoga. She has also written several chapters of anthologies, including a chapter on the yoga of the Bhagavad Gita for German psychology students. She is active on social media, especially on Quora and Twitter, and on her blog. She often compares religions for the benefit of the Hindus because most of them are not familiar with their own traditions. So with that, once again, Maria ji, a very warm welcome to you, and thank you for taking the time to share your perspectives with us.
Thank you very much.
So let's begin with something very simple. Here you are, a German national, going all around the world in your early years, and on this particular trip, 40 plus years ago, you're going to Australia and you stop in Bharat, and appears that that was the end of your search, and you've obviously found what you were looking for. So I'd like you to share that experience with our audience. In fact, if you don't mind, talk a little bit about your growing up years, your family, and the environment that sort of set your worldview.
Well, I was born in a very small place, only 5,000 souls, we called it. It was a very Catholic place in southern Germany, Bavaria. And actually, I was baptized already in the hospital when I was only 3 days old, because I was looking so weak, and they wanted to make sure that I don't go to hell. Because if I had died, I would have gone to hell. So otherwise, there was nothing special in the sense I didn't have a happy childhood, because my parents, there was a lot of tension between them. And it made me very introvert. And I had many questions. What is life meant for? I was not very keen on living. Sometimes I always had this feeling I want to go home, but home, I did not know what is home. So that's why I also was not very ambitious, actually. So in this way, I had many questions. And I came to know already as a teenager that the Indians say that this world is illusion, is Maya. And this strangely, it made sense to me. And I told it even to some people around. So they made fun of me often. They said, Maria thinks this table is not a table. So but it made sense. And then also in physics, I remember when I first time I heard that all is one energy. There's nothing separate. This also I felt. If there's a God, that must be it. But also it was not really, it was theoretical. It was cold. No? How can energy be God? And I forgot again about it. And then I was always trying to get clear. I was traveling so much. I remember once I was in Panama. I went to a little island outside of out in the sea, and I said, I stay now here for a week. I want to know what is the truth, what is life meant for. And when I came finally to India, then it all happened somehow. When I read a book by Swami Vivekananda, it was the first, oh, and then in the surroundings of Sri Anandamaya, it was like this energy, this one energy, it is conscious, it is alive, it is in me, it is loving, it is real. No? So it seems so natural and so easy suddenly, and that's why I thought, yeah, then if this is not the truth, if I am one with Bhagwan, one with Brahman, then I want to dedicate my life. And maybe I can tell a little story. I was in boarding school also, and I have a mole here in the middle of my forehead. It was much more prominent when I was a child. Now it is hardly visible. And once a girl told me, "Oh, Maria, you are an Indian." And at that time, there was no idea of going to India also.
Moving on to the next question, Maria ji. As Jayji said, you were born in Christian family, and you left it to adopt the Sanatana Dharma and its thought system. And I think you mentioned in your bio that your last guru was from the Nath Panth. So I'm going to ask you series of three questions here. So what drove you there, and particularly to the Guru Parampara, the Nath Panth, and what it represents? What drove you to that point? And what did you find in your adopted faith, that is Sanatana Dharma, that you did not in your birth religion? And also, what did your family and friends have to say about it?
Well, my family was not very happy. But since I wrote articles, I got some money, not very much, but I kept myself afloat. And it was good because then they had also something to show that my daughter is doing something in this sense. And I never planned for my life, actually. When I came to India, I was so amazed about Indians. They come out of school and they know already, when I'm 25, I want to be there. When I'm 30, I want to be there. Nothing of the sort was. I think it's a Western thing. Many Westerners don't plan like this. And I went always along. Even to Anandamaya, I was taken. Some Italians were there and they said, "Oh, my guru is coming. Like to come?" Yeah, okay. And with Nath Panth, there's another story. Earlier, when I was still in Hamburg, I read the autobiography of a yogi by Swami Yogananda. And this I liked very much. And I felt, oh, I would like to meet Babaji. I would like to have a connection to Babaji. So I wanted to get initiation, but I wrote to California, and it was very complicated. You had to study and you had to take an exam, and I gave it up. But in the very first week in India, by chance, I was taken to somebody who could give initiation into Kriya Yoga, and he gave me. It was in the very first week when I landed in India. But I was so happy about the connection, but then I didn't practice it really, because soon after I met Anandamaya, and she did not encourage to focus on the Kundalini. She said it's more or less dangerous if you don't have a good teacher, and bhakti is far more safe and leads to the same goal. So I did not do the practice of Kriya Yoga. But then, 12 years later, I was in Madikeri because it was hot down. I went to the mountains, and there in Madikeri, I was in a park, and one foreigner was there. And she came to me and started talking. She was from America, but had German parents, so she was happy to talk in German. And then she told me, I have a guru here in this town. He is in the Sanatan tradition. Do you want to come? Okay. And then I stayed for 5 years around this guru. And the strange thing was that in Gorakhnath tradition, Mahendranath Gorakhnath, I got the same mantra like I got in Kriya Yoga. And I was very happy that I am sort of back in a way, not really Kundalini practice, but the mantra. And so this is how I came to. And Nagpan was very nice for me because Gorakhnath is very much an Advaitin also. He starts his Siddha Siddhanta Bhattati. He starts with now. Let's talk about the creation of the world, something like this. But actually, there is no creation. But still, I will explain just so that we can talk about it. And this level, this absolute level, which is only here in India, that there is this oneness, no thoughts can reach, no words can reach. We cannot really talk about it, but it is a truth. And it is nirgun. But as soon as we are interacting, we are in sagun. We are, and so this was very much. That is the main thing which attracted me so much in when I came. It was basically first the philosophy only, and then slowly I got into the relative realm, and I started to read Puranas, and I read so much. And I even went to library and read Brahma Sutra, and I bought in Ramakrishna Mission Upanishads and Tripurasya and Ramana Maharishi. So I wanted to know, and I started, of course, to meditate, and I did my mantra. And so it happened that it felt very natural that I became a Hindu.
No, it's a very, very interesting story that you have, very inspiring one, in fact. And you do bring up Madikeri. It is a small town in Karnataka where I belong to, and yes. So when you said Madikeri, all the nostalgia, all the childhood memories came rushing back to me. So thank you for sharing your inspiring story, Maria ji. So moving on to the next question, Maria ji, you have been serving the Sanatana Dharma for a long time now, with your body of written work, articles, books. You talk about Bharat's ancient wisdom in glowing terms. We were wondering if you have done a comparative analysis of your perspective on the Vedic knowledge with those who have been born into the Hindu tradition. What we are trying to ask is, do you get any pushback from the native born thought leaders on your interpretation of the Sanatana Dharma?
Well, I did not do an analysis as such, but I get sometimes pushback when I talk about, please, Hindus, don't say that we are idol worshippers. Because we are not. And then I get, we worship many gods. And why should we conform to the Abrahamic religions only because they worship one God? Why should we also say, no, we worship one God. We worship many gods. Yes. So I feel Hindus don't realize what Christians and Muslims and Jews also, all the Abrahamic religions are in the same, what they mean by idol worship. And it means the first commandment, second commandment in Christianity, first, I think, is you shall not have any other gods next to me. No? I mean, I am I am the God, no other gods. Now that means it is separate gods. Even the Christian God and the Muslim God is separate. You must never say I and God are one. In Christianity, Jesus can say it. For him, there is an exception. But otherwise, it is heresy in Islam also. God and you are not one. No? So in this way, Hindus are not idol worshippers because everything comes out of Brahman, out of the Nirgun, into Sagun, into Ishvara. From Ishvara, the three gunas come. From the three gunas, the three main gods come: Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. From there, the Ahamkara comes. Then it all develops, the Panchaputta and so on. So it is, and then the powers, Agni. So why do you want to provoke those religions by saying you are idol worshipper when there have been millions of Hindus killed only because of this? Now, we have never explained what we mean. We are the original oneness worshipper. And this I feel is a big drawback because it takes the carpet away from under their feet when they want to kill us, or when they want, because we are worshipping other gods next to the main god. No, it's not like this. Of course, it's not so easy to understand. For simple people, it may not be, who are just brainwashed, it won't reach them. But we have to do it also in interface dialogues. We are never doing it. We have never been clear in this regard. So this is one aspect where I get pushback, blowback. And then another one is I take Puranas seriously. Not literally, but for me, there's a lot of knowledge in it. And I take also seriously that there are different levels of beings, that humans are not the only ones. Apart from, I don't mean animals and so on, but conscious beings who are intelligent, we humans are not the only ones. When Brahma creates the world, he has so many. You can read it in Srimad Bhagavatam, for example, right in the beginning. So why should we not own it? Now in the West, Westerners, they have so many videos about Mesopotamia, about interaction between man and God, and they have millions of views. But why don't we talk about the Puranas also and own it? Because it's true. I'm sure it's true. We cannot know what is in Jyotisha. We cannot know if we are based on Earth. In this way, I don't get pushed back, but I get silence. I keep asking, and nothing comes back. Recently, I asked in an email group again, what about these different beings? Nothing. And I wish we had more himmat, more courage to... and another point also, this historical timeline. There also we go so much with the West, and then we focus only on Aryan invasion, Aryan migration, or out of India. But why not go to Gulf of Kambat? There is... has been by chance, been discovered ancient city underwater, which is supposed to be over 30,000 years old. And even in Bosnia, there is now, I read yesterday, there are pyramids, 5 pyramids, and mainstream science says, no, it's a hill formation. But somebody says it's 25,000-year-old pyramids. And this ancient history, it is hidden from us. And we go along, and we are still the last ancient living culture, and we don't say anything. And it's true, we are weak in the sense, those who are against us are very powerful. I don't mean this.
I think this is a perfect segue to the next question, because you also in your answer spoke about how we have lost touch with our own traditions and our own rituals, and we are not expressing that to the world as we should have been. So that is a perfect segue to our next question. which is the Indian society is trapped in a colonial mindset. And they seem to have lost the ability to appreciate their own culture, civilizational narrative, the great accomplishment of the past, and the debt the world owes to their civilization. Many are disdainful of their own traditions. Do you see there is a hope for recovery? Do you see any signs of recovery in recent times?
Yes, I see some hope, but I feel it's also a race against time because the other side is very powerful. But what came to me just in connection with the last question also, I think Hindus, Indians were very focused on education, which was a very good thing during Gurukul times. But even in British times, Hindus especially want their children to be educated. And they don't realize that this education which they got after 1835 was actually not good. Of course, some things are good in it. Yeah, you can make a living. But it was not good because it hid so many things from you. They made to look you down on your own religion. So in a way that Indians looked down on that tradition, it was so much brainwashed also. So this is a great pity. But I feel there's a lot of difference now since the last 20 years or so. There's hope now, but we should not underestimate the enemy. No, we should not end up in a situation like Hindus in Pakistan or Hindus in Bangladesh. This is a great danger. And I don't know really what to do, but we have to tell, especially youngsters are usually searching for what is true and for what is the meaning of life. And we should tell it in a nice and in a very convincing way and not scale it down. Go to the highest level. Talk about, now Elon Musk talks about simulation. We have the simulation. We know about it. So it should click also. And not everybody wants to know the truth, but at least gives them knowledge, and then the others don't have so much chance to take over, and also teach them that they want to make you depraved, they want to make you selfish, they want to take away that you have a goal in life, and you will be very unhappy if you go along with it. No? Genderism, wokeism, and so on.
Maria, I think you put your finger on the real problem, and that is the education system. But there is another danger that's been around us for a long time and continues to be accelerating in our own times, and that is the conversion machinery. I wonder what can Bharat do about it? I mean, first of all, do you think Bharat has the right to resist that? That movement. And secondly, can they bring in anti-conversion legislations? And do you think there is enough progress being made in that direction?
The United Nations has this freedom of religion thing. I mean, didn't they ever think what is in the religion? How can you grant freedom to a religion which does not allow other religions to exist even? So in this way, we are alone. Buddhism and but Christian countries also won't help us, and Muslim countries won't help us. So sometimes I feel we hide behind. I mean, now in the United Nations, sometimes we point out Hinduphobia, but almost we try to hide behind Buddhist phobia and other phobias, Sikh phobia. So as if Hindus have no right. And I can understand because for 1,000 years, this beating down had been so serious. And I read in this Andrew Boston's book, like what happened even during Muslim rule and in Christian in Goa. And so it was so painful.
Right.
And that's why I feel there is this hesitation to speak up yet, but I feel we have to do it We should tell, look, this is not acceptable. How can this be? And we have the arguments.
Sure.
And they should also not try to let money come in. And all this, what government can do, should also happen. That so much conversion activities going on, also with money, and that people get money, and people are nice. Also, the missionaries are very cheerful sometimes. No? I once went to a shop in Dehradun, and there were two men and one young Indian, two foreigners, and about my age, older. And then, oh, hello. No? So and then they asked me, are you a missionary? They said, are you a missionary? Yes. Yeah. And they are helpful. They listen to the poor people, and they are nice and kind, and then they feel also a little bit obligated. So all this is a human interaction is also involved, no?
You touched on one of the points that I was going to make in my next question, and that is, the Christian church has a long history of genocide and ethnocide. Wherever they have gone, the land is strewn with dead bodies and complete erasure of local culture and civilization. With this kind of history behind them, how are they able to camouflage it and put it out as if it is such a benign belief system that people get sucked into it? A attendant question is, what can we do to educate our masses to kind of inoculate them against this virus?
Yeah, I think most Indians, Hindus, don't know much about Christianity. And I never understood why Christian schools were kept after independence, because a Christian teacher, if he's a good Christian, he will look down on Hindus. This I find very difficult. And those who come out, they will not be Christians, maybe. They cannot be so blunt, but they will be atheists. They will look down on their own tradition. And I remember this from my own school. We were so much indoctrinated against our pagan forefathers. Imagine when it was Sunday, then people used to believe that God is angry. I remember in school, so, oh my God. But now, luckily, now we know the true God, and we are safe, and we will be saved. And so this, and in India, the Christian teachers, of course, they won't tell the negative things. So this is one point. And I feel regarding to educate people what church has been done, I feel sometimes movies are the best thing. Small movies, because the Christians work very much with movies. I was sometimes in a train, and there are so many missionaries from Korea also. And they had this laptop in the train, and they were playing this very charismatic movie about Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And when you see a movie and Jesus is so loving, and when you submit yourself to him, then he will take care. It's bhakti. It's very appealing to Hindus. So but we have never been clear in interfaith dialogue. I went to some now, and it is very painful, because I started one article even once with it. The Hindus had invited, they paid the bill. But Christians praised Christianity, Muslims praised Islam. I came back with a little bag of small pocket Quran and literature. And Hindus, they praised Christianity and Islam.
Maria, there has been this narrative that was being built around our civilization and about our culture and traditions for the last 200 years. And in modern times, that narrative continues to be spread through the internet, by academia, and news media, social media, entertainment industry, and what have you. It's all about trying to portray Hindus, Hindutva, and Bharatiya culture as evil oppressors and even genocidal. how can we counter this narrative?
Even in the 1970s, when I was already grown up, India had a good image at least among university students. We were reading autobiography of a yogi, and I mean, it was not against India so much; it was against Hinduism. And there are also some wise people in India, but this religion, this should go. It should be replaced with Christianity or something. And so this was not yet so bad, I feel. But in the last 20 years, and I assume it has to do with the fact that Hindus woke up more from 2000 onwards, I think, that suddenly it becomes very vicious. And maybe I can tell you, I used to write about Vedanta for German magazines. And in 2001, I got a letter. I still didn't have email at that time. I got a letter from one editor of a magazine, and she told me, as you must have noticed, spirituality is out, wellness is in. That was, what is this? I had not noticed, no? And this was very strange. And when I now observe, it is exactly this. The yoga spread, but please don't mention that yoga is basically meant to get you mukti. It is meant for wellness. It is meant to be healthy, happy, enough. So, and meditation, even mindfulness now, it is mainly about how you can deal with stress and so on. This upper level, what I talked about, and which Hindus very rarely mention, except Ananda Mama would mention it. Now, Amma was in Bangkok, she mentioned it. But usually, normally, Hindus don't mention it much. But this is the most important one. I saw in April 2020, after February 2020 in Delhi, those attacks, those riots, it's called, I saw Arundhati Roy on the DW German channel, and I couldn't believe what she was saying. She was saying that minorities, Muslims are under attack, and governments receive Modi as if he is not involved, but he is very much involved also in this. And we should be very careful because it has become genocidal. And she mentioned Rwanda. It is like before Rwanda happened. I was so shaken, really. And and the German anchor or English-speaking anchor, she was, what can we do to prevent this? To prevent that Hindus kill Muslims? I mean, it was so out of anything, and I felt she wanted basically to incite Muslims to finally shake up this oppression, and I felt it was in 2020 now, this new world order. You must be knowing about World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab and all these things.
Yeah.
And he talked openly about constructive destruction before the reset. So I feel they want really to have trouble in India. They would like to remove Modi, of course. And they want Hindus to, basically, this was also a preparation. I feel that the world is convinced if something happens to Hindus, they deserve it. And even in America, I have a friend who knows the evangelical scene. She married into a missionary family, actually. And she told me that in America, the evangelicals, the Christians, not only the Muslims, they are so anti-Brahmins especially. And if there would be a genocide against Brahmins, they would say they deserve it. This is now very, very dangerous. They want to portray us as if we are this bloodthirsty. And if any human group is the most peaceful, it is Hindus. So, but we say we try sometimes. We are so good. We don't discriminate against others, and we think by our goodness we convince them. But this won't work really.
Coming back to the first part of your answer, Maria ji, and I think you really explained it very well. that the spirituality is out. It is all about wellness and not about mukti anymore. You do yoga, you do meditation or mindfulness. So coming back to, putting that in a question, life in Sanatana Dharma is supposed to be guided by the four purusharthas, right? The dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. And the modernity and, everything is pushing us to the artha and kama aspect. And the dharma and, moksha aspect is kind of, invisible to most of the Hindus as well. Do you think the public is oblivious to those two important purusharthas? Are they only focused on artha and kama? Or and what do you think is the societal consequence of such lifestyle choices?
I think in India it's not yet only artha and kama. In the West, it's very much, I feel. Okay. I met once, I think he was an IPS officer, and he said, "You Westerners, you talk only about rights. We Indians, we talk about duty. And actually, duty can make you happy also." So this was quite to the point. But what I said, it is like a race against time. The attempts to get especially at the youth and to turn them around and make them woke and look down on their parents and enjoy life is for enjoyment and religion, all religions are bad. That's what is usually said, all religions are bad. When you point out Christianity, Islam, and then all religions are bad. No, you have to point out this is not about religion, it is about truth. There must be something which is true. And you rishis have put it down and you have inherited it. And this has to be given to the next generation, and in a way that they don't react badly in the sense, I don't want to listen to this and so on. It's so important. It is very much alive still. No? So yeah. If it's only artha kama, we can back up. We miss our life. It's a waste. No? Humans have this chance. I don't know about asuras and devas. They maybe are fixed, no? But we have to go whatever side, and we have the option also to get out of this illusion, out of Maya, out of the simulation. So we have to keep dharma and moksha alive.
So talking about our dharma, one of the things that we always talk about Vasudev Kutumbakam as one of the, underpinning principles of Hindu Dharma. But I wonder if we ever thought about the limitations or, the boundaries of that principle. I'll give you an example. Turkey had an earthquake. Bharat was one of the first ones to get there on the ground with, material help. So that is living Vasudev Kutumbakam principle. But then Turkey is also a culprit in the radicalization of Muslims in Bharat. Here we have a conflict between Vasudev Kutumbakam and Dharmo Rakshati Rakshataha. And I'm just wondering, how do you resolve that conundrum in a real situation like, Turkey?
I don't think we should be the first to offer it. I mean, we should not rush and want to look good in a sense. No? I mean, I think politics needs cleverness. It doesn't need only even the. I was once reading in the Mahabharata when Bhishma, Pitama Bhishma gives advice to Yudhishthira on Rajdharma. So what struck me, because I felt affected by it, he said, if you take advice or if you employ ministers or if you don't take relatives and don't take people who stick completely to the truth. Because at that time I felt, I would not qualify because I feel for me, truth is very important. But a politician may have to maneuver sometimes. And I really don't know how Modi ji is managing because, the people he has to deal with is really, I think he would much more like rather sit in Gangotri and do some meditation, you could imagine. But I feel this cleverness needs to be there, and we should not do anything to look good. I don't think. Because it does not help. It has no effect. But if motivation is good and if you feel you have to help, yeah, help. No? But not like we can take also example of Mahabharata. This is one family, and the family fights because one part has gone to Adharma, and the dharmic part, well, we have a right, and that's why we fight. And in this way, there, I think we can take a lot of lessons actually, how we should deal with our opponents. And maybe we should not even call them enemies. In the sense, it is the Asuras and Devas, ultimately, they are all part of this Leela. And it's not, maybe we should not even take it too seriously, but we have to do our part. And cleverly also, and according to Dharma.
You again very succinctly pointed out Mahabharata as a great example of where protection of dharma actually comes before protection of family. Gita is all about that, and actually, and we instinctively talk about Gita as one of the most important grantha. It so clearly points out that dharma comes first in any conflict. So thank you for pointing out that example. It's a very important one. So that brings me to my last question for the day, and that is about the conflicts in the world. And I think we can all agree that all human beings want to live in peace, but it seems that certain religions, in fact, do not want to live in peace. Given that kind of world, do you think peaceful existence is even possible? And can religion actually play a role in achieving that utopia?
Religions, I feel they are religions, not Hindu Dharma included, because Dharma is different, but religions who restrain people from knowing the truth, who don't want them to know that they are one with the great consciousness. They definitely are very harmful, and they are used by the negative forces. So I feel we should point this out and tell, look, religious freedom, that cannot be religious freedom, that you give freedom to somebody to eliminate a whole group of people. That is simply not possible. But on the other hand, I think this Asuras and Devas, I heard once a very nice story. It is not that Asuras are just terrible things, no? So, but they are very selfish. And they go over dead bodies to achieve their goals. In Germany, we have an expression like this, if somebody is very intent to get. And I heard once a nice story about Devas and Asuras. Maybe I can tell it. A rishi had invited Devas and Asuras for a big banquet. And he made a long table and with very delicate dishes. But when they came, the guests, they all got a spoon tied to their arm, which went above their elbow. So it's not possible really to bend it. So the Devas told maybe you know the story. The Devas told the Asuras, please, you have it first, you take first. So they went and stood there, and after some time he gave up, very frustrated, very angry, and sat down. And then the Devas came, and the Devas made two lines on opposite side of the table, of the banquet, and one stood out and fed the other side. So they were happy and went back. So I felt this was a very nice story about this egoistic thing I want only for myself, and this relaxed, open thing. And I feel also one thing in India, that is maybe why we are so attacked. Every morning still the Devas are worshipped. And I don't think in the West they are worshipped. I mean, except maybe in some Hindu temples, but what is happening there, it is very, very different. And this may also be a reason why they are so much after Bharat, why they are attack it as. I thought of it recently. Who was the father of Prahlad? Hiranyakasipa?
Yeah, Hiranyakashipu.
One of the two. Why did he not want his son to worship Vishnu? Why was he so incensed? No? Why? I don't know, but I think we should stick to the devas, and we should stick to Dharma. And go for mukti, and go for this upper level, and not ignore this absolute level which only we have, and which is the truth, and which is so important.
You have been very generous with your time, and it's certainly been a learning experience for me, and I'm sure for Vallabhaji as well. I'll just ask if you have any message for the Hindu world at large.
Have some courage to make yourself also what you think is unpopular. But actually it is not. I think I have one advantage, that I am not worried what people think of me. Sometimes Hindus tell me, oh, if I would say what you say, they would call me Sanghi. So what does it matter? If I stand by what I say, so let them call me Sanghi. It's a good name then. No? So in this way, this carefulness and wanting to, this needs to go. And do sadhana. This is the most important thing. Because I think through sadhana, you get also intuition, and you get guidance, and things fall into place in your life. It is so important.
Thank you. Thank you once again. And it was a pleasure having you.
Thank you.